Well, if you are in the art community, you probably already know that artfight has started more than 3 weeks ago. But being as punctual and time responsible as I am, I only joined on July 13th. So, after a week or so of being in the event for the first time ever, this is what I managed to paint. By the way, I won't be showing every single attack I made, for reasons such as lack of permission from OC owners, I'm stupid and forgot to record the process, as well as this video is already enormous. Now get to drawing or cleaning or anything you plan to do while watching this 25-minute video, and let's go. To get started, my attack to Polar Arts. I literally adore their characters. They have a very alternative style, which I love, and some of them are in a goddamn band. It's amazing. I love it. To summarize, I had to draw at least one of them, and the chosen one ended up being Sebastian. In the description, they say he's the lead guitarist in a band he started, and he's the boyfriend of the drummer, Arabella. And I wanted so much to draw them both, but I wasn't feeling confident in it, so I ended up just going for him. And also, he likes grunge style and dabbles in guy liner. This man is amazing, he's extremely cool, and I really wanted to give across this laid-back vibe, cool guy vibe with the artwork. So I ended up deciding on this pose, where the guy is literally leaning back, and I thought it was amazing. By the way, right here you can see that I'm actually sketching out the reference guy clothes, not Sebastian's clothes. And don't worry, I will actually draw the character clothes. I was just checking to see if I managed to get the pose right, because if I use literally the same pose as the reference guy clothes, this is so confusing, but it will be more obvious if I got something wrong with his anatomy. And right after, I just skipped to coloring, because I was confident enough for this base, even though I did not sketch out his clothing beforehand. So I color picked his palette, and then I added some multiply layers to get it a little bit more darker, a little bit more yellowish, to put it like this, so that it would match my usual color palette a little bit better, because I cannot work with bright colors for the life of me. Also, I could not find a reference for his guitar. I don't know if there is a reference somewhere and I'm just really dumb and did not see it, but I could not find, so I just drew the same guitar that was in the photo. I normally only lay down shadows beforehand for really complex lighting scenarios, and since this was a really simple lighting, a really basic lighting, I just skipped to rendering. I know a lot of people don't recommend this because it can really mess with your values, and if you're just beginning, if you're just starting art, I don't recommend doing this, but it's the way I usually work, so I can draw faster. I don't know if you guys can notice it, but right in this instance, I was suffering. I was truly suffering. I have a problem with eyes. I don't know why. I don't know when it began, but I simply always get the eyes wrong. And I don't know why. Mainly the iris. I think the iris is my art nemesis. Did you see what I did there? Arch nemesis, arch name. I'm so sorry. I cannot get it right. And I tried to paint the iris black to see if I could maybe find the mistake, but I could not, so I just followed on like nothing happened and tried to draw the ear. Then I gave up, then tried to draw the neck. Then I also gave up and I skewed to makeup, which was honestly way more fun. Alright, you cannot blame a girl for being a girl. And honestly, the makeup was such a huge reason for me choosing him. Honestly, please, this man has blue eyeshadow, guy liner, and piercings. He is the epitome of coolness. You cannot prove me wrong, alright? So, just like that, I started rendering the hair, and I honestly am so sorry for how messy my process is. Nothing makes sense, and the hair shading makes even less, because I just put on like random blobs of color and I hope it looks good somehow. And most of the times it's acceptable, you know, it's not great, but it's okay. And I was forgetting the necklace, but I did not forget the necklace in the end. I rendered the necklace as well. And right here I was painting the arm, making some general changing as well in the rest of the image. And then I began with the guitar. Yes! I was honestly so happy that I got to draw a guitar. I was waiting for an excuse to draw a guitar for so goddamn long, and I finally got it. So I was really happy, like extremely happy. So I began rendering. I honestly love the guitar. I kind of think the guitar is the best part of this painting, in my opinion. Like, just a little bit biased, but I love Sebastian as well. And in the middle of painting, I noticed this would make a cool as hell poster. So I decided on turning it into a poster and making him sign it. Later on, you guys will see that I put on his signature. Though you probably noticed that it's probably not how his signature would look like, because that is the writing of a 17-year-old girl, not of a 22-year-old guitarist. Like, I cannot express into words how cool I think the guitars are. Like, I love them. I wish I knew how to play a musical instrument, but I have absolutely zero musical abilities. But returning to the topic on hand, I did not know how to write it another way. I tried to, but I could not find this is how his handwriting would look like type of font that I wanted. I don't know if I can call it a font if I'm the one doing it, but that's okay. And here it is, the absolute failure of a signature. I did not put my other attempts, but they were way worse, trust me. And I thought it was a little bit too bright, so I kind of desaturated it and darkened it up a little bit. Now you're almost finished with the painting. All that's left to do is like a little checkups, you know, so I colored the eyes again a little bit because I thought it was too red. I also tried to check the lighting and also the proportions a little bit to see if everything was right, if everything was okay, just so I'm sure that I'm giving out the best possible result I can. And this is how it looked like. Right now, I had actually planned on showing the process to my attack to Leaxo and their beautiful character Avenio, but this video is already extremely long and will take forever to edit, so I actually posted it as a separate video, which you can find on my TikTok or Instagram, showing the rendering process to that piece. By the way, if you're interested in seeing more attacks I've made so far, as well as the stunning attacks I've received, my artfight account is linked on the description, as well as the accounts of everyone I've mentioned on this video. Now, moving on. Lastly, we're going to talk about my revenge to Snowman, which honestly was the most difficult and complex artwork I made so far in competition, and quite possibly in my life. Her attack was a full body plus background type of attack, and I wanted to respond to it with a full body plus background type of revenge. Spoiler, I did not. I was between her Barista OC and her Model OC, both incredible by the way, so I decided to look for inspo and references for both and let Pinterest decide, and Pinterest clearly decided on the Barista. So I began drawing and sketching out everything from the pose, to the composition, to the vibes I wanted to get across, and I ended up on this. Please trust the process. I pulled out the character sheet and began drawing her clothes, which the owner described as light academia. They are so cute. And I was adding an apron as well, but I didn't want to change her style, so I let the red bow sticking out, and I tried my best to design an apron that would fit her personality, style, and color palette. Then I began to draw the face with more details and more carefully as well. And here I am suffering again at maximum speed because of my arch nemesis. And then I continue on to the rest of the face. I still wasn't happy, but I just let it go. I thought I'd fix it later, and later on I regret that a little bit, but I then moved on to the hands because I tend to work firstly with what I have references for, and then the things that I do not have references for I leave for later because I like to procrastinate the worst parts. This way, when I begin to think, oh, but this is so hard, I want to do this, I have to look back into all the work and all the time I've already spent in that painting and reflect to myself if it isn't really better that I just man up and walk through heaven to draw without a reference, But in this instance of the drawing, I'm quite happy, I'm just drawing like little utensils, and actually this coffee thingy was my favorite part of the whole drawing. I couldn't stop looking at it when it was fully rendered, so I'm really happy about that at least. And right here, I actually played smart, because I figured she'd probably have to have her sleeves up to be pouring hot water into the coffee thingy. I'm so sorry, I have no idea what the name of this thing is in English. I apologize, but you guys know, that's what matters. But anyways, I managed to use the same reference that I used for the pose for the sleeves as well, so I was really happy that I did not have to spend more like 5 hours searching for these exact sleeves on Pinterest, And then my pain began. I began drawing the clothes. I hate clothes. And then I began with the apron and everything, and I started decorating. I picked another reference for a pretty apron, and I decided that I wanted to add a sun to represent to her sunny personality. Then I began with the bow, which for me at least was the central piece of her outfit, and I was really happy that I managed to make it fit with the apron, that it wasn't covered at all. And then we go to the beret, and then finally we get to her hair, which was the last thing I had to sketch before getting to coloring. By now you guys already know the drill. I color picked her color palette, and then I added a multiply layer to make it darker and more yellowish. Literally the same thing as the last time, and I'm really sorry for all the cuts right here. I really wanted to speed things up, but if I literally sped things up, then it would be unwatchable because I draw on an iPad, so I move the canvas around a lot, so when it's really fast you cannot see anything. Oh, and right here in this exact instance, Kohaku appeared in the drawing. I don't know why, I don't know how. I was planning on making like some chaotic background, but then I just thought, wouldn't it be interesting if there was a second person right there? So I ended up making a second person, and this took a lot of time, but it ended up working in the end, I believe. And also I was really glad because they are best friends according to their lore, and they ended up together in the painting as well. Also, hear me out. Remember how I mentioned that I really wanted to make a full body plus PG type of revenge? Well, I do not have a full body, but if we have 25% of a character and 75% of another, then technically, if we're speaking mathematically, we have 100% of a character, which is a full body. This is pure math, alright? 25, 75, 100. There is no other possible answer. right? So don't even try to disagree with me, okay? But returning to the time-lapse, and meanwhile I managed to do the face, and I use the same colors that I used to shade the face on other parts of her skin, so the ears as well as the hands and arms. I kind of color picked the same colors, and I use mostly a hard shadow, a blush to put it like this, and a light, and I just varied between them and went on rendering. There's not a lot to speak about it. This hand actually gave me a lot of trouble. I don't know if it was the pose, I don't know if it were the nails. I'm also really bad at nails, which is a shame because I love long nailed characters, but I didn't like it in the end, honestly. And then we go back to the hair, which again, blobs of color everywhere, and you just hope it looks good. And then the clothes, which I hate clothes with everything that I have. But as always, I do the same thing I usually do for shading. I pick a really dark value, then a kind of mid-tone that's not really a mid-tone, it's warmer than a mid-tone, and a lighter value. When it comes to white fabric though, what I usually do is I start with really cool shadows, and after I add kind of like orangish tone in between, so that it looks more white and less gray. Alright, and I begin shading her vest, tried to fix it up with some tonal corrections, but later on I'll add a texture and it will look better. With the beret, I think the main shading aspect of it was really contrasting the light and dark edges on the edges of the beret, so it will be more realistic. And finally we get to the rendering of the kitchen utensils, which are going to look so good. Like, they are absolutely my favorite part of the drawing. They look so amazing when fully rendered. I was honestly so proud of them. Moreover, in my opinion, shading glass and also liquids is extremely satisfying, and you know, all the highlights bouncing back, all the extreme darks and extreme lights, it's just so amazing in my opinion. We can also see something similar while shading metals, which is one of the reasons why I absolutely love to incorporate gold into my paintings somehow, because it's so fun to shade. And if you check out my other artworks, as well as this one actually, you will probably notice a lot of golden things. Like, most metal things in my art are gold. I prefer gold to silver like 100 times more, and I think it's way more fun to paint, you know, than silver. Gold, you have those warm tones. Silver is mostly about contrast, but gold, you can actually see it like reflecting back to you with a red and then a yellow and then an orange. I don't know how to explain. I think it's so goddamn perfect. And talking about perfection, we're going back to Kohaku. While we are rendering him, we are also trying to fix the mess that his face is in right now. And I ended up trying so hard to fix it and trying so hard to make it look more like the reference photo that it ended up being way more realistic than the rest of the drawing. And I feel like this was not a good thing in the end. I tried to fix it up a little bit, like lowering his contrast and everything, but I don't know. You guys will see the end result, and when you see, I do believe him to be like a little off, you know, like doesn't fit in with the scene. I don't know why. I'll try to fix it later on, like maybe next year. I think you really get to see that contrast between semi-realism and realism when you compare the face to the hair, because the hair is still very stylized, like I usually do hair, and it just looks kind of off. I don't know how to explain it. Now, giving you guys a break from this string of constant unimportant capping, I wanted to talk a bit about some things that I noticed about artfight while I was painting this. Obviously, artfight is great motivation to make more art, but I did not expect how much the event would help me and how fun it would actually be. I've been mostly a realistic portrait type of artist for the past 2 years or so, and as much as I love it, it was tiring and felt extremely limiting to me. I did not expect artfight to change that, but it did. It didn't force me to get out of my carefully constructed art shell, but it certainly gave me a very needed push. As soon as I entered, I wanted to do more than portraits. I wanted to paint those gorgeous and complex characters with something that actually reflected who they were. So, when portraits no longer sufficed, I began working on half bodies, and then full bodies, and then began adding even more characters to the text, meaning that obviously some realism was lost on the way. But shockingly, this time didn't feel like a failing. Moreover, the constant ticking of time helped me a lot with my perfectionism. I had to hurry if I wanted to draw all the characters I had in my bookmarks, and this ended up in me literally not having time to overthink what I was painting. It also meant that I had to find more time-effective techniques to finish my paintings faster without sacrificing their quality. Right after I joined, I was constantly seeing people online speak badly about this event when it came to unfair participations, mass attacks, stolen art, etc. But it has been so fun for me, truly. The people I've met there are absolutely lovely, and it has rekindled my passion for art to the point where I'm actually painting again after a year or so of simply not having the motivation to the point where I'm actually recording a YouTube video for the first time ever on the topic of my art, just because I wanted to share the processes of drawings I enjoyed so much creating. So, if you are indecisive about participating, I think it's an amazing opportunity to grow not only your skills, but also your perception of yourself as an artist. And with this, we conclude this attack, as well as this video.